What's up, geeks and gamers? My name is Drementfh, and welcome to Thorium Gaming. We're back with Nightly Valor, our attempts to bring the light of the Lady of the Lake to the entirety of the old world. Despite the fact that chaos has now finally reared its ugly head and started coming in from all angles, we've got one of their little sorcerers here inside our sacred lands. Well, the Lady's sacred lands belong to us. We just are allowed to live there by the Lady of the Lake. So over the last little bit, we've been pushing south, and we may have to pull back to Magritta, because we know there is a fleet of Chaos ships, well, army stacks on the sea, somewhere in here. Might see them coming up. Of course, down near Al Haik, we have Yogi getting ready. We might have to push him over to Kofur and defend our coastal areas. Though, there's not much Yogi can do to defend against that, which is a little sad. We have kind of made a non-aggression sort of deal with Khemri, because the Tomb Kings are in a very strong place right now, and yeah, fighting with the Tomb Kings is not a good idea. Our war with Tilea is pushing on a lot. Now, these guys cannot get into the fight for Skavenblight as quickly as they would like. This entire swampland area takes about 2 turns to get through, so we still have the option of doing that. And I think it is the king himself who is the one that's sieging it. So it would take 2 turns. We might just straight up attack it. We don't even know what this is. Oh, it's a wizard. Probably an amethyst wizard because we can't see the profile. Things that I'm worried about in here are those 2 mortars and all of those halberdiers. They're great against cavalry, and our infantry isn't exactly the greatest in the world. Our funds are looking a lot better. Up in the north, we do have at least 1 army stack under Aidedon, getting ready to hold this area should chaos come in. And Muffin is getting ready to hold the coast against the Druki should they come over, which would not end well for us because Malekith has a lot of heroes in that army. I'm really hoping that the High Elves come up and take on the Dark Elves. Be nice to see them fighting. But we can't guarantee about that, and we do have forces within the Forest Vathal Lauren kind of made peace with the Wood Elves, but at the same time they don't really like us. So we're going to have to maintain Shifroy and Yelena to kind of hold against the woods. But for right now, they're doing okay. And then way out in the east, it's a little too far south, we're looking up here. We have Lord Eddie going down to take on some Skaven, the Ratmended Carrick Orud, and yeah, they're going to deal with the rats. His army stack should be able to handle at least some of them. Don't know exactly what we're going to do with it, but they can't have too much in the way of forces. Well, this is probably level 3 at least, probably level 5, but without holding a single completed territory, I don't think, well, they might hold the southern World Edge Mountains, because there's usually dwarves there, but without holding full areas to themselves, full provinces, the rats are probably a little under strength, and they've been dealing with the Tomb Kings and our allies and the last defenders here for a while. So we'll let one of our army stacks deal with that. Now we could upgrade some of our cities, but I'm not really sure we want to do that right now. I think all we can do really is hit the end of the turn and see what Tilea does with this army stack. If they get too close, we might have to pull back. I'd like to take Skavenblight. It's got a fairly large garrison, and it's a good jumping off point to hit the rest of Tilea's, well, I wouldn't call it their provinces, because these are originally Vampire Coast stuff, especially Sartosa. Still got the icon here. So, we can deal with them, and then see what we can do to push east, or probably south. If we have to pull back, we have to pull back, but we're going to have to leave forces at Magritta either way, and then maybe send an army stack down to the south here, because Yogi's a little isolated and doesn't have too many forces. But let's just pass it off to the other nations and see what they do in the meantime. Of course, Lord Eddie is doing his thing. It amazes me how many Greatsword and Steam Tank and Hellstorm rocket battery groups the Empire actually has nowadays. Almost every one of their armies is rife with great swords and lots of artillery. Like that's one guy, and this is their treasurer. Great swords, rocket batteries, and Demigryph Knights. which, well, that's just scary and mean. But they did take out the orcs last turn, so we can kind of cut them a little bit of slack. I'm hoping they pull their forces north to deal with the incursions of chaos. That is not north. Yeah. Don't know where you're going, but that's not the direction we want you to go. The forces of chaos have the strongest infantry in the game, and I'd really like to see, especially Karl Franz, get up there and deal some major, major damage. It's ridiculous how powerful the Chaos armies are to start with. And this isn't even Archaon. This is just his cronies going out first. I think he comes in with the second wave. Don't quote me on that, because I'm not entirely sure. We're kind of in between versions of the game with the save files, so we'll just have to deal with it. But Archaon himself is a beast when it comes to close combat. You got the Kairos Fate Weaver, the Greater Demon of Tzeentch, Lord Sigvald, the Dragon Ogre Shaggoth, whose name I can't remember right now. I can see him in my mind, but for some reason it's escaping me. Their legendary lords are just painful when they roll through, and it's rather ridiculous to start off with. And then you have, of course, the Chaos Warriors in their Chaos Plate, especially their Chosen. They're just mean. Be nice to see the Dwarves moving a little bit more north too, but I don't think they're going to until after Kislev does something. Of course, the Dwarven empires are at war with Kislev, which doesn't make a lot of sense. Sometimes I wish that the programmers over at Create Assembly tried to keep the forces of order, disorder, and death within their own lines, but not fully Age of Sigmar way, because the elves should be 3 separate factions. Yeah. Age of Sigmar never really sat well with me. They did a lot to the lore that's, well, I disagreed with overall. Most notably, Malekith becoming the true king of all the elves because he was proven worthy, which I don't like Malekith. He's a great character in the long run. He's great in all of the books and the backstory, and you can understand why he is the way he is. It's his mother Marathi that really, really tipped the scales and made him into this just evil, overblown character. And it's actually a little sad. I mean, he was an Aryan's heir, and then Marathi got her tentacles and all her chaos worship into it. Oh, good job to that elven mage. She wounded one of the dark elf heroes. Hoping that army stack's strong enough. It's got a lot of phoenixes and a dragon, along with some dragon princes, and they're heavy, heavy cavalry. So we'll see how that works out. Hoping that the High Elves are actually going to follow through with this. But Malekith himself is kind of a twisted creature within the backstory of Warhammer. It's a good tale, and there's an entire book series called The Sundering. If you haven't read it yet, I really suggest it.
Speak, and I will see if it is within my power to give.
Oh, hello, Krokgar. Yeah, we'll take a military alliance for 100 gold. It also sheds some light on Kalador the Dragon Tamer, on the line of the Phoenix Kings, on Aelithanar the Shadow King. It's just a great book series altogether. You can get it in an omnibus, literally called The Sundering, and it's some of the best writing I think that Black Library has ever put out, and I read a lot of their books. I read mostly Warhammer Fantasy stuff, especially if it's anything to do with Bretonnia, because I like me my knights, and the rest of it is all 40k stories, usually the Gaunt's Ghost novels, and the Space Marine individual battle stories. Hive's Hell's Reach, which our good buddy Chaplain Grimaldus took his name from the main character of that. I mean, this is a guy so powerful in his oratory that he screamed at someone till they came back to life. I mean, that's just awesome, and the way it's described in the book, beautiful. Then you have Rin's World, which is about the Crimson Fists, and it humanizes the Space Marines to a point. It doesn't show them as human, of course, because they're not, but it brings into light the fact that some of them still have compassion towards the humanity they defend. And the Crimson Fist is a good example of this, especially since they suffer pretty badly in that book, and in the lore of 40k as a whole. It's really worth a read. And then, of course, you have the books on Uriel Ventress, the captain of the 4th Company of the Ultramarines, which includes stops in the Death Watch, which is kind of cool. And then there's the Gotrek and Felix books for Warhammer Fantasy itself, with some really amazing characters, but as soon as they hit the end time stuff, it goes downhill really fast. Ulrika the Vampire is one of my favorite characters out of everything in her own little short trilogy. I've read and reread and reread my reread dozens of times over. It's a great series. But she's a character within the Gotrek and Felix novels as well, and it all ties together so beautifully right up until the last couple of books. It's Age of Sigmar just ruined everything about Warhammer Fantasy, in my opinion. Granted, opinions may differ, but I just really dislike it. I liked Warhammer Fantasy as it was. I knew they needed to change some stuff up, and I would have accepted a Chaos Invasion, but the whole end times, the dwarves going into fire dwarves, all the stuff, the recombining of the 3 elven nations, just, it was too much all at once, and it just took the soul out of what was a great mythos. It'd be like Battlestar Galactica without the Cylons. And I pronounced that really weird, but I stand by what I said. But Warhammer Fantasy itself is very rich in the lore and has amazing characters. You are at war with Chaos, and no, you are at war with the Tomb Kings. So we kind of want to keep the Tomb Kings liking us. Alright, so Lord Eddie gained Taskmaster, so we get some more movement. The Tomb Kings for the Court of Liberus, which is the queen that hates vampires. I should know her name, Kalita. That's it. She is done something for her territory to cause attrition, and we're getting relations with Athelloran now, and we have a couple of paladins that have come out and are ready for duty. So let's send Furix up north towards Kislev. And they haven't even moved to try and counter us yet, but we do have Guido Nagia coming in as well. And they're still reinforcing Lord Katraza. It's going to be difficult no matter what we do, but if we go into an encamped stance for Phoenix and Grimaldus, we're making 407 a turn, but we can't summon any regiments of renown to help us out because we're in foreign territory. It'll allow them to heal up their troops a bit. Of course, we have the King's army. I'm really tempted to try and push and take it, just straight on fight for it. But we're going to lose a lot of troops and we might not be able to survive the counterattack, and that's a little worrying. And Thibault Dubois, who was our inherited hero, we're just going to leave him named as such. And we're going to send him off this way. Keep an eye on the Wood Elves. And his vows, we can go pledge to duty, because it shouldn't be hard. And Orion, Daith, and I'm not going to try to pronounce that, but okay, so we got 3 Elven Lords and a bunch of their stuff here. The Elves should be, well, they kind of hate us right now, but their attitude's improving pretty well. If we stop doing hero actions against them, stop trespassing, we should be okay. Kind of dig that hole out. I'm not expecting a war with them anytime soon. Kind of cancels out the Forest Edge decree. Right now our focus should be on getting as much chivalry as we can, which means I think we're going to go for the Ruinous Powers decree, just because we can, and we might be fighting chaos here pretty quick. But Bali's ready to upgrade. We can wait and try and upgrade Margarita. I'm tempted to wait for Margarita. It's a better staging point. Now, I didn't see anything come out from the oceans. Granted, I was rambling. So we'll see if they go after the High Elves. Not a lot we can really do right now. We're still tight on funds. Let's see if there's a way that we can amp that just a bit. There's nothing really for Sassone and Languille. Or Corone, I should say. And that's already maxed out to increase our profits. There's nothing really we can do with the Forest of Arden. Bordeaux, however, if we can save up a little bit more, we get the Shrine of Manan, but we can also get the orchards, which will give us more trade goods, which will help out for sure. And we can upgrade their watermill slightly, which will help out a little bit. I don't think there's anything else we can do with our cities right now. Now we can upgrade that too. Leaves us a little tight on funds, but not much we can do about that for now. And let's just pass it off to the other nations and see what they do. Might not be a whole lot of combat this episode. Of course, Lord Eddie still has to move. Forgot to do that manually, because I'm a goofball. But it happens. He doesn't have many knights with him, but he's got a lot of foot squires. And Yogi was still moving? Alright, he's going to El Haik itself, kind of as a garrison. The Empire is going to be moving a lot of stuff. With luck, they'll start pushing north. Especially since we got rogue armies and other things to deal with. And it's kind of surprising that they haven't gotten rid of the vampiric corruption yet. I mean, the vampire's been gone for ages. The Empire just kind of stomped them and called it a day. With help of the dwarves, of course. So I'm surprised that there's any vampiric corruption still left. We're going to start getting chaos corruption across the board because chaos is invading. But it'd be nice to see them kind of push that back and get rid of it. The Empire generals, though, seem kind of intent on going to the southwest or the south in general. I'm just really hoping they don't clash with the Tomb Kings and they realize, hey, there's a giant chaos force coming in from the north. Can we deal with that anytime soon, please? Please? Sometimes I think that the AI is a little silly in this. It's still better than some entries in the Total War franchise. I'm wondering where that trio of stacks is going, though. I guess we'll have to see as the Empire keeps pushing. And that is the wrong direction. Chaos is going to have no trouble beating on Kislev and coming into the interior if you keep pulling back like that. And again, I can't overstate this enough, that Chaos Knights, Chaos Warriors, Chosen, whether they're halberds, swords and shields, well, axes and shields in most cases, with lances and barding, they are incredibly tough infantry and heavy cavalry. Their heavy cavalry is on par with ours, and we have the best cavalry in the old world. Well, you could argue with that, but I'm a Bretonnian fanboy, so I'm still going to say that they're the best in the world. Ooh, Nordling's Ironbreakers. Ironbreakers are always good to see. What's Belagar doing? I'm hoping he's not going to actually go and mess with Kislev too much. Might be going after Kemperbad? I'd rather see him reinforce the northern borders, wherever Mr. Cragbrow is going. Because we know Chaos is going to start rolling in. And their army stacks are incredibly tough, and I don't even know where we are in comparison to their strength, but I know we are definitely weaker. Perhaps not. Perhaps I'm just talking out of my butt. Seems Chaos isn't that strong right now, so we'll have to wait and see what they're up to. But if they hit, they're going to hit hard. And I'm hoping that the Dwarves and the Empire can kind of soften the blow so we can hold on long enough to get to our final errantry war battle. Which, of course, is pretty awesome regardless of the source. I mean, we can either fight Archaon the Ever-Chosen, or we can go after the Orcs, but the Orcs are gone, so I don't know if we can select that option right now. And I don't know if we can select the option for Chaos either. And it also means that we have to take a good army stack on its own, with the best troops that we have available, all the way up into the north. We might go after the Orcs if we have that option, because, well, we fought Orcish armies before, and we know our cavalry can run them down. Be nice to see the elves actually do something! Last Defenders, we're going to start seeing their stuff move because they're new allies of ours. There's the Court of Liberus. I think that's High Queen Kalita herself right there. It's doing some raiding. It's on the Arachnos orcs. It looks like the other section of Lizardmen that's down there is at war with the Court of Liberus, so could heat up. And we do have... I'm not going to say his name, it's just going to work terribly for me. But he seems to be going after the followers of Gash. And there's Cetra. He's got some Ushabti, or those, yeah, the Ushabti Grey Bows, Pulcher Stalkers, Ushabti, 3 Tomb Scorpions, 3 Bone Giants. It's a pretty hard-hitting unit. Got some Tomb Guard, some Ushabti with Great Bows. Be nice to see Khemri kind of take the desert back a little bit. Well, we don't know for sure. We'll find out. We are a little bit behind in some places. Our economy is not doing great right now, and that kind of limits us on the amount of knights that we can have, especially with the fact that we lost all of our vows. And there's Kalita herself. I was right. It is her on that Sepulchre Stalker. Her army is all about the Serpent Cavalry, and it is amazing. It's fun. I really do enjoy that faction when you're playing as them. I hate fighting against them, unless I'm playing Bretonnia, because, well, Bretonians are fairly solid. So we're going to see a big fight here. I think this might wipe out the Khemrian stack. Or not. The Khemrian stack could just go completely bat crap on... Okay, was not expecting that, but I'm happy for it, because we're kind of friends with Khemri right now. Might give us a chance to open up a new battlefront if Yoki's able to do it. But then again, we have to get him a bunch more troops to be able to hold on to what we've already got down there. Though I am completely willing to sacrifice the errantry holdings and pull back to mainland Bretonnia and Tilea to spare us losing a bunch of troops. So right now our army stacks are kind of important, and the loss of 3 cities, including a capital, would be a massive blow, but it would allow us to spike surge towards other things. Our war with Tilea has to go our way. That's pretty much what it comes down to, is we have to beat Tilea for Skavenblight and then try to catch them on the open field. So with any luck, getting this battering ram up and having a bunch of infantry ready to go in will give us the time we need, and we can storm the walls, get through their outer defenses, and get to those mortars before anything bad happens. And there are the chaos stacks that I was talking about. Huge army stacks of chaos troops. They're not attacking the elves, they're all coming after us, it appears. There should be a 4th one there somewhere.
I am its king.
You're not at war with any of our friends, so go for it. We'll take a non-aggression pact. So yeah, we might have to sacrifice Kofir and a bunch of other stuff. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of troops there. Let's check on the Tilean siege. We definitely won't be able to hold out for 9 more turns. There's way too many forces coming in from different angles. Probably gonna have to push this fight before I really want to, but it is what it is. Losing our vows kind of really knocked us down a bit. I'm almost tempted to pull Lord Eddie from where he's headed right now, because he can probably make it down here to help El Haik. And you know what? That's probably a better idea. We'll bring him over here and see what he can do to help out.
Onwards then.
Thibaut can go through here. We'll improve our relations with the Wood Elves a small bit. Not a whole lot, but a little bit. Since he hasn't moved, King Louen, let's see if we can get a couple of siege towers before we initiate that. If they move towards us, we're going to have to take Skavenblight, and I'll even pop the Green Knight. See if we can get him in one of these armies, because he is a beast in combat. But we're going to gain our Ruinous Powers Decree next turn, so we'll see what's up and let the other nations go. See how it works out. And of course, Furix is going to head up north and see what he can see about the Chaos forces that are there. Gonna have to remember he's in Blackfire Pass right now, though. Balthasar Guild does not have his Pegasus yet, which is surprising. Usually he does by now. Wizard Lord on a Pegasus is a damn powerful artillery piece. He's got a Pegasus. It's not bad. I usually prefer to get my close combat oriented generals onto the big monster for their faction, whether it be dragons, manticores, anything like that, wyverns. And then I use my casters on whatever flying mount is available to them, because it makes them so much more versatile. Yes, it makes them a little bit more glass cannon-y, but at the same time, it gives them the advantage of height, line of sight, all of this sort of stuff. Is the Empire coming down to fight Tilea? It would be amazing if they were, because they got the Reichsmarshal coming in, who's a Grand Archlector, and looks like the Emperor is going into Tilean territory itself. I stuttered there, and it was funny. Can't laugh at yourself, you can't laugh at anyone else. But I'm still curious what this army stack's going to do. He's just going to hole up in Grumberg, it looks like. The only problem with doing things the way I like to do them is that you get to see all of the heroes and army stacks move for all those people you're allied with. And because we A, lost our vows, and B, did not go full-on expansionist when we started, and decided to play nice with the other Bretonnian factions instead of, you know, forcing them to kneel at the tip of a sword, and that was back in the old diplomatic system where you're far less likely to get confederations. There is actually a way to do it now. That's actually something I should bring up since they changed everything over. I don't know if I've mentioned it yet. Is under the new confederacy system with the heraldries of the different Bretonnian kingdoms, well, dukedoms, when you get their heraldry, you can force them to confederate with you. Not just give them the option, but force them. It costs a little bit of chivalry. It's a little bit time consuming, but you can do it because it'll make your have unhappiness and that sort of stuff for a little bit of time. But you can force them to automatically join you because you have their heraldry, which solves a lot of Bretonnia's problems right off the bat, and it is a more unified nation. And instead of getting those technologies and having to slowly sift through everything and try to force a resolution, you just make them yours anyway. And that's what I like to see from the High Elves. Oh, that was Teclis. He destroyed that Black Ark. Black Ark will be back, but for now it's gone. But without having to completely win over people before you confederate with them for Bretonnia, which is traditional for what the Bretonnians stand for, you're able to push things a little bit differently. Gives you a lot more expansionist options. All you have to do really at the start of a new game for Bretonnia now is just defend Lyonesse and then force them to confederate, and then you've got Lyonesse and Couronne as under your control. And then you can push in, take Mousillon out, and just push south. But it also frees you up that anytime you get a heraldry, you can force them to confederate, which means you do not have to worry about defending that border as much, which means you can focus on external threats, and it usually means spilling out through the Empire, through... Oh, I should know the city name. It's the gateway into the Empire. It's the major port city that's right near Couronne. I should know this off by heart, but I don't. It's right here. Let's see. That's Gorsel. Marienburg. That's it. I remembered it before I got onto it. It's right here. You can push through Marienburg and take that entire coastline, which allows you to start attacking the Norskins pretty early in the game, before Wulfric's had a chance to really level up and get those mammoths that are always such a pain in the butt. Though, granted, not so much for Bretonnia, because we have Knights of the Realm, and Knights of the Realm tend to eat mammoths. I think literally, too. Does mammoth make good eating? I think it does. Be full of fat, but it might cook up really well, like good pork chops. I don't know how I got on this tangent, but we're going to go with it. So what's Khemri doing? They're at war with the other Tomb Kings there. Citra's got a couple of sets of chariots, and the chariots in this are actually a little bit better than other entries in the series. Still a little wonky, but they're far, far better. Necropolis Knights, those are the special Tomb Guard, I think? Yeah, Tomb Guard. I'm surprised we're not seeing as many Necrotechs, especially not one in Cetra's army. Necrotechs are great if you're running a lot of constructs in an army. It's really awesome. Kalita, what are you up to? You trying to wipe out the orcs? She might be trying to wipe out the orcs. Which would be kind of cool. Because that's the only real greenskin presence left is Arachnos. If we can wipe that out, no more greenskins, and we will have solved a problem that the old world has been suffering under forever and ever and ever. Except for we can't go to the mountains of Morn and take out the hobgoblins up there. Or the other orcs and goblins that are enslaved by the Chaos Dwarves. So we solved 2/3 of the orcish problem? That sounds really genocide-y. Genocide-y? Is that a word? Anyway, my mind's a little all over the place today. It's been kind of a stressful morning. So you'll excuse me being a little bit odder than usual. By which I mean a whole lot odder than usual. Because, let's face it, I'm weird. It looks like Tilea's going to fall back. Probably attack the dwarves. And get their butts kicked. Oh, that helps our case out a lot. Our friends in the Grey Mountains just busted up a half stack of Tileans, which means they're probably less likely to come over and start stuff with us at Skavenblight. With the Emperor Karl Franz coming in, he's got 2 generals moving to the south, and our dwarven friends. Yeah, having friends is a good thing right now. It's going to make Tilea think twice about trying to push back against us, and we have to watch this, though, and see where those ships are going. I don't think they're going to come directly... Well, they might come directly for our coastline. For some reason, Chaos has a real hatred for whoever is the player in this. If you play the Lore Masters of Hoeth, if you play Bretonia and have these errantry kingdoms, if you control any coastline in the south or the north, they come after you pretty hard, as opposed to hitting closer targets or possibly more vulnerable targets. It's one of the mechanics of, I don't know if it's the Horde AI, or just the AI in general for the Chaos Forces that I find kind of wonky. Oh, the Cult of Pleasure is back. But they won't have Marathia this time, I don't think. Now, let's upgrade this vineyard, because we have the funds for it. Thibault de Bois, we will send up this way. Apologies to anyone who is a natural-born francophone. I try to pronounce French well enough, but I'm only going off Canadian French that I learned in high school like a decade and a half ago. So my bad. Let's get Master Swordsmiths because we're going to need that weapon damage. And Lady Di, we can get you immortality now. But we don't need to get immortality because we can go with... Oh, she's a damsel and does not get the vows. So yes, we're going to get you immortality. Skavenblight's kind of in a bad situation. I'm really curious to see what Karl Franz is going to do. If he goes after Maragliano, hoping I'm pronouncing that right, then we're sitting pretty good on that front. Granite Beard, you're a hard man. And you, of course you have Iron Breakers. And Runesmith, that's why you busted up some Tileans. Be nice to see these two go after Sartosa and Lucini. Well, Lucini especially, but I'd love to see Sartosa left alone so we can take it. Because that's a port city we can definitely use. Be nice. Starting to get a little bit of chaos corruption across the board. Doesn't bother me that much. We do have the Tower of the Fate Enchantress. It's kind of helping out overall. Essentially, we need a Grail Chapel everywhere. I don't know if we can hold out for 8 more turns, but we'll have to try. Now, Lord Eddie, we're going to need you to like quintuple time it to get as close to Al-Haik as you can. I don't really want to lose Lord Yogi, and Al-Haik is most definitely a place we want to hold on to. And if we lose those pastures and farms, oh, it could be bad. And next turn we'll probably install the garrison there, the guardhouse. Get some foot squires, some extra troops to defend it. Kofar, we might just have to accept as a loss. Can we see anything about these stacks just yet?
I think not. No.
Not really. So let's hop up to Blackfire Pass and move our knight manually. I swear I remember where it is. There it is. And I'll see if there's any Chaos forces coming in by land. We're not seeing really any destroyed structures yet. Volksgrad and then Prague, which is like right here. Yes, Prague is right there and Kislev's here. Those are usually the cities that fall first, so we'll have to see. All our plans got kind of screwed over by losing our vows. Because that costs a lot of money on upkeep for knights. But with that Black Arc out of the way, if Teclis can recover and go after Malekith, take Malekith out, then we can shift the defense of Lyonesse and move Muffin to the south as well. It's going to be kind of a bit of a boring one, I think. I don't know if we're actually going to get to a fight this time, but we're going to have to kind of tough it through for a little bit. Strategy is sometimes, well, it's almost always more important than just rushing into the fray. And they are going after Lucini there. I thought that said Van Hasselhoff for a second. And then the Baywatch theme went through my head. Did I just accidentally date myself? It's because I watched Baywatch when I was a kid. Like 6. So I don't know. Might have been reruns too. But it was one of the highlights of sick days when I was a kid. Like I said, my brain is really random today. So I'm kind of rolling with it. It's a lot of fun. Speed bump between brain and mouth has completely disappeared. But let's face it, you guys didn't come here to listen to me be intelligent and poised and scholarly and gentlemanly. You came here to listen to me make a complete jerk of myself. Because, let's face it, I love laughing at myself. That's just a firm belief that if you can't laugh at yourself, you have no right to laugh at anyone else. And that's pretty much it. I haven't actually checked the... Okay, they are gaining back public order, so we're not going to lose Iron Rock or Barag de Wazbag. Did I remember that right? Anytime soon. But it does matter. Alright, Thorgrim, what do you need? Yes, we'll take a military alliance, especially if you're giving us a grand in coin, because that is awesome. And you lost against Kislev. I can't say that I'm entirely sad about that. That's a lot of Iron Drakes. Flamethrowers, essentially. I think they're Iron Drakes. I don't know the Dwarven list as well as I would like, even though I have a Dwarf campaign on the go, I think. Pretty sure I do. Warriors of Chaos are pretty under strength, though, for compared to what I thought they would be. Granted, they're automatically allied with the Norscan tribes. I think Norsca automatically allies with them, too. So, you can kind of combine those together and see where their strength really lies. Oh! Those mages are really, really stripping down the available heroes to Malekith there. With hope, Marathi is not at the Shrine of Cain anymore, and Teclis could go in and take care of Malekith. I guess we'll see here in a second, given that Enthal is moving over to Torashare region. He's not actually going to take on Torashare.
You ask for a boon. Speak, and I will see.
Yeah, we'll take military access with the Last Defenders, because Lizardmen are good guys. They're one of the forces of order. Even if they're cold-blooded and led by giant frogs sitting on palanquins that talk really, really slowly, think really, really slowly, but they're practically immortal, so they kind of have the time. Think the Treants from the Lord of the Rings series, only they're frogs. It's kind of how a Salon Mage Priest works. I'm guessing Marathi is still on Ulthuan then. There's your prime agent when it comes to the person that split the elves down the center. She's going to go to Taurus Share. Malekith might come over to reinforce her. So he's going to stay at Elysia. Clanmores, you got kind of lucky. If Chaos hadn't invaded, we'd be coming after you. But right now, the Ratmen are safe. And they just took Qatar. Which means they're at war with the Tomb Kings of Khemri. The thing about Tomb King army stacks, though, is even if you blow one up, completely wipe it out, they can usually get another army stack pretty quick. They're only limited by what they can hire via troop type. Their units cost no upkeep, they're pretty cheap to hire, but their economy works a lot differently than the economies of every other mortal nation out there. Well, every mortal nation. Not so much the vampire counts. Vampire counts are pretty similar. Though in their regard, they get to research down zombies and skeletons, so that they cost nothing to upkeep, just like the Tomb King armies. But zombies and skeletons are not as good as the skeleton spearmen, skeleton warriors, especially the Hekaran warriors and the Tomb Guard that the Tomb Kings get. Then you've got the Ushabti, and the Tomb Kings is a really, really solid undead army, especially with the speed they have. And it's really weird seeing ranged skeletal archers. Vampire counts, best they can do within the new patches and everything is if they get a Von Karstein. I think it's Von Karstein Lord. Yeah, we're not signing that. We're friends with your enemy. But the Von Karsteins, as they level up, you can, or as you unlock them, once you get all three unlocked, you can get Von Karstein militia in the forms of crossbowmen and handgunners. So you can get some ranged punch that isn't just magic in nature when you're playing as the vampire counts now. But comparing that to the Tomb Kings is really, really sad. And wow, that Tomb King just got slapped down hard, but he won. So, congrats on the win. But now you're not going to be able to take on the Black Pyramid that's down there. Which is really, really, really rather sad. I like the fact that the Tomb Kings were keeping everything down there at bay and making it so we didn't have to fight. Are we going to see an ironclad ship? Yes, Kislev, we will take a trade agreement with you. I know you're at war with the dwarves, but it doesn't mean we have to hate each other, and I'd love to see Kislev be pretty strong. Because in general, they're the ones that are going to bear the brunt of any land-borne chaos invasion while we're dealing with the stuff on the sea. If Maragliano's garrison leaves, goes after the Empire, that would be swell, but I don't think they're going to pull back and make that mistake. As it stands, we may have to compress some of our armies anyway. Don't know if we can hold on to our errantry war holdings. Not against 4 chaos stacks anyway. There'll be some bloody fighting, and hopefully we can have Yogi and Eddie fight them 2-1. So we get 2 lords in versus their 1.
I'll have your will, and I'll have it now.
I don't think we're going to sign a defensive alliance with them just yet. The Warherd of Chaos was destroyed, which is definitely a good thing. Puppets of Chaos. We'll see where they move. They're probably going to move towards Kofur, since it's a port city of ours. Unless they're going to bypass Kofur altogether. Okay, they're starting to split apart into little war bands, which it's a lot easier for us to deal with them if they don't stay grouped up. I'm willing to sacrifice Kofur to keep the rest of our holdings on the coast. Firus especially. Al-Haik will be able to hold out pretty well. But if they're spread out, we can deal with them. So Ryan, you've got immortality. You have pretty much all the spells that we could ever want for you. But let's pick up Comet of Cassandora just because. Now the other option is that we can pull back from this siege. Or we can take Skavenblight and sue for peace. And then push our 3 generals that are there, including our king, and we can push them down onto the water and try to take out Chaos forces here. I mean, 100 armor, 75 leadership, 34 weapon strength. Not great charge bonus, but 100 armor, armor and shielded. Their chariots, 90 armor, 120 armor, bronze shielded for their Chaos Knights. Like, they have a ton of armor. So if you're going to be fighting Chaos as the Empire, bring a lot of handgunners. That would be pretty much your hard counter for them. But anyway, guys, that's probably a good place to leave for this week. I know I was kind of hoping to get the fight to Skavenblight in, but for right now, we're just doing a maintenance episode, I guess. So if you like the video, guys, please consider hitting that like button. If you'd like to join up with the 232, be part of this or other Let's Plays, just hit that subscribe button and make sure you turn on notifications on so you don't miss when a new video goes out. And remember, guys, life is a game, so play to win. And until next time, take care.